All right, all right, all right. Here we are. A new year, but we're still meeting together on Wednesdays, typically, most regularly on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Central Time. And I'm bringing you tips and tricks and wisdom and thoughts and a little bit of musings, I guess, related to career and spiritual intelligence and aligning the work you're doing with what matters most to you now as the new year is always a time where we're thinking about, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We're thinking about what do we want to stop doing? What do we want to start doing? And I think for myself, um, I've never been a goals person, like SMART goals, like all the steps to a SMART goal. Um, Probably not, doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know if it doesn't work well for me, but it's just not been something that I've ever implemented into my routine. Inside of Career Alchemy Academy and in coaching, I talk about VIPs, very important priorities. And I do those. I'll set up my important priorities for the year, for the month, for the week, for the day. And that's where I focus my time and my energy. And that helps me to stay focused because I do need that. Um, but I'm not what I would call a traditional goal setter. I'm more, how do I want to feel? What am I desiring to manifest this year, to create? I will think about those things. And but I do happen to be the type of person that can take this bigger vision, and then I know the steps to, when I'm excited about getting something done, I'm all in, and I don't necessarily need a chart to tell me this is my goal. I just know that I'm moving, the goalpost forward, moving or whatever, the ball forward to get it across the finish line. And I'm able to kind of visualize the moving parts and know what needs to be done first and next, and what requires a little preparation, and where maybe some seeding, some calls need to happen now. Seeds need to be planted now so that they're ready by the time I get there and whatever I'm working on. So I kind of have a natural ability for that. And I've always felt like goals, like specific goals with specific timelines and specific steps, have always contracted me. I feel like they're actually cutting me off from what might be um, uh, available. Like that I get too focused on one lane and one particular way that it's going to happen, that I miss a lot of things. So I've learned over the years that I'm better with kind of a loosely held goal. Let's put it that way. But I will say this, after watching December's last LinkedIn Live, where I, at the very last minute, scrambled to put on lipstick, I looked like someone who, like I was in the passenger seat. My husband's driving. I'm trying to apply lipstick, and he hits a pothole, right? That video. And so again, today, I tried to do a little bit better job with my lipstick, and I think that the goal is, um, it, I don't know. I've got to think about that. I think the goal is to give myself a little more time and perhaps look for a new lipstick. I think it could be not just the lipstick applier, meaning me, but also the lipstick itself that may not be quite right for what I'm doing. But I don't know. But that's a goal, specific goal. I am going to have that figured out by next call. And if you want a good chuckle, go and look at the LinkedIn Live from last week, because yeah, I think it was the morning of December 29th is when I did it. And yeah, mhm, that's definitely, I needed to put some goals around my lipstick. So, all that being said, today what I want to talk about is the question I'm asking, and I'm hoping the response is yes, is will 2026 be your undoing? And I know it's like, why would you want me to say yes to that, Lori? Well, it, you know, here's the thing. So my birthday's December 26th. So my birthday falls between, the lead up and the culmination of the gifts and the gatherings and all of that. And then the lead up to, New Year's Eve celebrations and the culmination of the New Year's Eve celebrations, and of course, the making of New Year's resolutions. I'm sort of in that in between space, my birthday. And it had me this year thinking about what it means to be sort of in between, um, something having finished and something coming to arrive, right? And then it also had me thinking about the fact that I don't really like New Year's resolutions. Um, for all the reasons I said, I just feel like they keep me more in a box than than otherwise, because I kind of know that I'm going to get done what I want to get done. And so I don't need resolutions to help me do that. Um, but in any case, it was during this time, between Christmas and New Year's for us, that I realized that I was less interested in goal setting and more interested in letting go of things that have been holding me back or that no longer serve me, simply no longer serve me. They may have served me for a long time. Ways of doing things, ways of thinking, actions, beliefs. Certainly the mindset stuff is huge when I start thinking about how do I want to think and feel in 2026. What do I want? How do I want to? What do I want to? How do I want to stop feeling or stop thinking in 2026? So I was, I think it comes out of this, and it's been happening for a few years, and it's continuing to grow and grow and grow. Is this desire for living a life of wild abandon, like leaving no stone unturned, like really um, going after life, full on, um, doing the bucket list, if you want to call it that, but really creating the space and making the space for the adventures, for the connections, not just at holidays, but all the time, like, deliberately making memories. Um, and I recognize this desire that part of what it means to live a life of wild abandon, or even a year of wild abandon, is that there needs to be a journey of undoing. And so, like I said, like what stories do I want to let go of? Undoing the stories that are keeping me, thinking small, or I think really, really undoing expectations that are not of my choosing, of what I expect of myself, but that perhaps I've, been doing certain things, thinking certain ways, acting certain ways that are based on other people's expectations of what I should be thinking, doing, and acting, and not my own. So that's an undoing of those expectations that I'm not going to claim anymore. Undoing of the versions of myself that I have outgrown, but I keep dragging forward with me, or the version or the undoing of me that holds me back. So those, excuse me, those fears or lame excuses. Um, you know, when we're undoing these things, we're undoing the excuses, we're undoing the fears, we're undoing the stories that no longer serve us, we're undoing relationships that are holding us back, or again, activities. Um, you know, all of this will is less about what I want to achieve in the coming year in 2026, but more about what do I want to release in order to, because I don't even think I know, like when I'm thinking about undoing, it's sort of like unleashing a version of myself again that is more fully, authentically, overused word, but for a reason, like authentically me, saying what I want to say, doing what I want to do, taking the risks I want to take without, a voice in my head saying, what if you fail? What if you make a mistake? And maybe you're the same thing. I do a lot of coaching around career transformation, right? Being at a career crossroads and thinking about something new. And then there's the voices in our head, and we're going to undo those. We're going to let those go. And again, the external expectations. Why would you leave a job when you don't have to, especially in today's market? We can undo that conversation because, again, if it's serving you to stay where you're at, um, then that's authentic and that's what you should be doing. But if there's this, again, that wild abandon inside of you that's like, oh my gosh, I'm, like, a horse chomping at its bit, like, let me run, let me go, let me try this, let me experience all of it. That's what happens with an undoing. That's what I think, right? So, are you going to join me in this personal and professional year of undoing? It'll be more than a year, I think, but just this idea of, if it sounds like an adventure to you to undo things, if it sounds um, uh, if it has your, curiosity raised, if there's something leaping up inside of you, that if you're feeling the tingling, then that means that an undoing is in your future and needed. And if you're going to have any sort of expectation or goal, um, simply choosing to undo what no longer serves you is all you need to do, because you can go every day and say, what doesn't serve me today? Is it this type of food? Is it this networking organization that I'm part of? Is it this particular function? What can I do to undo part of my role that is no longer bringing me joy, right? And so that's all part of this adventure. And I truly believe that the best adventures are not done alone. This is a personal undoing, right? Um, the journey is an individual journey in the way your doing will only look like your undoing. Yet to be surrounded by other people who are undoing old patterns, old beliefs, old actions, um, uh, self-inflicted expectations, rules, like we're going to undo all of those things. It's so much more fun doing it together. So, like DM me and say, yep, I'm ready for my undoing. Let me know you're in. Um, and just know that I'm in with you. And if you want more practical support, absolutely set up a phone call with me. Let's talk. We could coach together. You could be part of Career Alchemy Academy, where we are undoing so much in there. The touchstone word for the month, which completely relates to what I'm talking about right here. So every month in Career Alchemy Academy, we have some touchstone that we kind of use as it's thought provoking. It's a guide. It's it's something that we come back to every week, because we meet every Tuesday, and we come back to every week and we talk about, we layer on top of the original idea. And so in January, it's not about, the word isn't resolve. It's not about action necessarily. It's not goals, right? It's not what you typically think about when you think about January. Um, but it's willingness. And so, how willing are you to undo the things that maybe used to serve you, that you chose at some point? And now it's time to unchoose them, right? And unchoosing people, unchoosing actions, unchoosing ways of schedules, and maybe you just adjust your alarm clock uh, 15 minutes, and that's a cool undoing, right? So what does that mean to do an undoing? But if you want support, Career Alchemy Academy is the place to be. And you can reach out to me or you can go to the website. Oh, I think there's a QR code that takes you to one-on-one coaching, but it gets you to the website and that will take you to Career Alchemy Academy from there. But here are some reflection prompts, I guess, that I've been sitting with when I'm thinking about undoing that you can also, write this down. Of course, this recording is going to be on the LinkedIn Live. They usually post it maybe after I do it a day or two later, and then it stays on for several days. Or you can ask me what the prompts are through a DM or an email, and I'll send you the prompts. But write these down if you can. So, what are you ready to uncarry in 2026? So, these are all sort of undoing words. But I love uncarried. Like, what are you going to set down, right? Like, done with that. What voices or expectations are you finally ready to unhear? What story about yourself are you ready to unbelieve? Sometimes when I think about stories, I mean, what's super interesting to me is that we come into the world with no stories, perhaps. Like, do I really know what's inside of my newborn self's brain? Um, I mean, because I'm all down the rabbit hole of near-death experiences and um, you know, mediums, and the possibility of being able to talk with those who have passed on is intriguing to me. Oracle cards. I love when I just don't know what to do or what to think or how to feel in a moment. Like I'm feeling that messy, unclear. I will pick an Oracle card and just decide that that's going to be the clarity I need. And it's amazing how accurate it usually is. Um, so if you know me, if you've been following me, I talk about building your spiritual intelligence, looking for signs, asking for signs, trusting your inner wisdom as the real truth. So when I'm thinking about stories, I think to myself, our thoughts are taught to us, right? I maybe I brought in some sense of my purpose, which I think is everyone's purpose, is just spreading love in all its highest forms. Like that I come in with, but then there's some people talk about the forgetting of where we might have come from, and I don't know. I don't think none of us probably knows. Or if we do say we know, I still don't think like anything's possible. Anything is possible. So I like to choose the things that bring me joy, the beliefs, right? So are there stories that other people have fed into my brain that I've never really used any discernment around that I need to be undoing, right? Like I'm going to choose some news stories. I'm going to choose to believe that my grandmother is, sending me guidance and nudging me in the right direction. And my spiritual board of advisors is all intact. And I'm just going to choose to believe that because I don't want to be alone. I like having people both here on earth and beyond. So back to the practical, Lori. But thinking about the stories that we're telling ourselves or that perhaps other people have said about us that don't lift us up and have us feeling expanded, let go of those, the undoing of those stories. Undoing of the expectations, like I talk about, that were never perhaps ever really yours, that you took on because you thought you should. Let's undo that. Let's undo the versions of yourself that are, that you've outgrown, but are continuing to drag forward. So when we're prompting around this, what is the story about yourself that you're ready to unbelieve? or stories? I'm sure there's more than one. And what are you ready to unthink? Again, thoughts are taught, thoughts become, they talk about a belief is just a repetitive thought that you continue to believe this thought, and eventually it is a full-on, belief. So a belief is just a thought, a repetitive thought. And so, really question some of those and be like, do I really want to think like this anymore? About people or about politics or about myself or about my spouse or about my kids or my parents or my siblings or the banker or the airline agent. Like, do I really want to think like that anymore? I don't. I want to undo all of that. And what else are you ready to unhook yourself from? Or how are you ready to be, like, where are you ready to, I guess I'll say, unbe yourself? Like, are you ready to let go of not being yourself, the unbeing of you, and instead claiming your voice, your, in my case, quirkiness? I am, if you watch the trajectory of these LinkedIn lives, very practical in the beginning, very pragmatic. And I am practical and pragmatic, but more and more I'm talking about like the magic and the mysticism and the potentiality and the possibility and the spiritual intelligence, because heck, why not? It feels like fun to me, and that's the track I follow. So, you know, the undoing of not being myself, the unbeing me, to the person who isn't shy about her beliefs, isn't shy, takes action, who on ideas that might be a little far-fetched, takes risks, right? All of that is wild abandon, is, like taking the bit out of the mouth and running free. It is freedom, right? So, let's unravel what's been holding us back, like kick off a year of undoing, um, or undoing anything that burns us out, anything that brings self-doubt, anything that um, creates quiet, toxic expectations, um, any of that. Because I think that sometimes the best New Year's resolution we can make is to stop trying to become someone new, but to start undoing everything, every part of ourselves that isn't an expression of who we really are, our true nature, our authentic self. So starting today, we're undoing, unraveling, unhearing, unhooking, all of those things, unbeing, so we can become joyously um, a full expression of who we are, just because, right? Just because. So that's that for today. Are you with me in this undoing of sometimes it's simply like, I'm just not going to think that anymore. I'm just not going to eat that anymore. I'm just not going to, hang with that person anymore. I'm just not going to rejoin that, you know, um, program. I'm just, whatever it is, I'm not going to do any of that anymore. It just doesn't feel, um, it feels like, um, it feels heavy. It feels obligatory. When we're undoing these obligations, expectations, often external that we chose to do, when you let it go, this you will feel lighter. You will feel freedom. You will feel more joy. You'll have access to more joy. You'll have access, like, to confidence, because you are being who you are. not anyone, any a version of yourself that isn't fully you. So, peace, follow the QR code, come into this community, let us undo and recreate and rebuild and have this because when you're aligned with your true nature's self, that authentic being, you create magic and miracles in the world through the work you're doing, through the person you're being, through what you're modeling. So that's it. That's it. Let's undo it all so we can create what's already just cannot wait. It's like, let me out of here. All right, that's it for today. Blessings and peace, and see you soon. If you need me, you know where to find me. Thank you.